and suddenly downpour. And thundering downpour. So while driving, stick shift, first time driving, managed somehow to, it was not the auto window up, the power window. So, the struggle to put it up. And then the most terrifying thing was I couldn't see the road because the wiper, I did not know how to turn that on. I would use this, that, and so luckily crossed the bridge, went to the other side, pulled over, put the hazard light, and then it took for 5-6 minutes to figure out all the ingredients there, and then finally figured out how to turn the wiper on. You don't want to share this with your kids, okay? And that too, this was without license. On the national highway, direct first experience. It is so confusing. Now once you become an expert at it, then you have the US car mudra. I am not a dancer, but I develop certain mudras. Do you know what this mudra is? American car driver mudra. So this is the phone, this is on the wheel, and this is coffee. So you are on the phone, you are drinking your coffee, probably following the NPR, the radio station, driving, looking at the traffic, maintaining that car in that speed. It is effortless, it is seamless. How do you maintain that balance? Samatma. Practice, right? Similarly, if we have to attain that Paramatma who is the most perfectly balanced, where do we have to start from? Start from balancing these equipments, body, mind and intellect. These when controlled into that balance, we have a fair amount of probable chance to reach to that Paramatma sthiti. Samatma, sammitaha, sammitaha means that which is acceptable. So we call it, even in Hindi we use sammati. Sammati is approval, accepted, okayed. So here our Shankaracharya ji says सर्वैः अपि अर्थजातैः परिच्छिन्नः मितः सर्वैः परिच्छिन्नः अमितः इति असम्मितः सर्वकालेषु सर्वविकाररहित्वात् समः, that is called sammati, sammitah. Sammitah means mita, to be limited. Limited by various reasons, at various levels, to be limited. Sammatihi is sammitah means to be beyond all limitations. When does something get okayed? There is a certain parameter. And in that parameter, it has to be complete. And when it is complete, it is okayed. So when a bridge is built or when a building is built, there is this quality control. What do? They check the quality. When is it okayed? When it is complete unto itself, then it is okayed. I am talking of non-corrupt processes. Where corruption works, it doesn't matter whether it is complete unto itself or not. If you feel the completeness, that it brings, you are ready to put your signature across. Shamelessly, of course. You get bribed. That is not called okaying. And this is one meaning of sammitaha. What is the most acceptable thing? That whether somebody knowledgeable, not knowledgeable, somebody who is with wisdom, without wisdom, somebody who has wealth, who does not have wealth, everybody accepts it. It is universal. Sammitaha means that which is universal, acceptable. Whether it is caste, religion, creed, gender, nationality, across all these borders, across all these limitations, everybody tends to accept this as the ultimate reality. And what is that ultimate reality? All of us invariably accept one thing for sure. I do what I do so that I can be happy. Isn't it? Isn't that one common factor which is acceptable to everybody? Whatever religion, whatever caste, whatever creed, whatever nationality, whether intelligent, unintelligent, wise, otherwise, rich, poor, isn't that what we aim for? Isn't that which is acceptable? That I do because I want to be happy. Everybody's aim is that. Now, if you analyze, why is that one thing so universal? Our scriptures say, we have just read that also, Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. What is the definition of that Paramatma? Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. Or the other word that we use, Satchidananda Brahma. Sat Chit Ananda. The first two aspects of Paramatma are already realized. Though I shouldn't be saying this, each one of us is 2/3 realized. Only 1/3 Bevkoof. Sorry to put it that way. I'll explain what it means. Sat and Chit is already a part of our experience. What does Sat being an experience mean? Simple fact. I exist. Which brings the age-old logic. I think, therefore I exist, or I exist, therefore I think. There are many new logicians, even from the times of Socrates, Plato, Aristotle. This argument has always been eternal. There are some who claim that I think, therefore I exist. Without that cognition of my thinking, how do I even know that I exist? So the logic of Vedanta says, very simple question. You sleep. In your sleep, are you thinking? Say, yes, I am dreaming. There is a thinking process. There are moments wherein you are not dreaming. You are snoring away to glory. You are deep in sleep. You didn't even know that you had such good sleep while you are sleeping, because there is no processing. If what we say that I think, therefore I exist, if that were true, the moment I have to sleep, each one of us would have been scared. Why? The moment I stop thinking, it immediately presupposes that I cease to exist. Therefore, we would be walking, talking zombies, scared to sleep. But because I continue to exist even after sleep, I am independent of thinking. Thinking happens because I exist. So existential reality, Sat, is already a Experience. It's my own personal, first-hand, unshakable conviction. Now the second part. Chit. Chit means Jnana Swarupaha. Is that a part of experience? Another simple question or a test will reveal that. Do I know that I exist? And don't give me a blank stare. Then I am not in Chinmay mission, then I am in some kind of a cuckoo's nest. Do you know cuckoo's nest? A nest where all those who have gone cuckoo are kept. In some mental asylum. If somebody says, do you exist? Pata nahi? I don't know. Then you look around and say, hey, do I exist? Kuch to gadbad hai. But we know that. I exist. I know I exist. That knowing of my own existence is called Jnana Swarupaha. I know that I exist. And they are not different. Existence and knowledge of that existence, they are not too different. Now, what is the third definition of the Lord? Anandaha. Why do you think we are searching for Ananda? Universally. Because it is our nature. If it were not our nature, it would not have been this universal phenomena for searching that one aspect which is acceptable to everybody as the very purpose of life. Now, what is the purpose of life? To be happy. A corollary to that, which I have always said, nobody ever puts effort to be miserable. Have you ever put? I am talking of the intention, not the result of it. We may be experiencing misery at the end of it, but the intention for which we have activated that particular action is never. In the Sankalpa, while we do puja, we say that Jnana Vairagya, Bhakti Jnana Vairagya Siddhyartam, Ashtaishwarya Siddhyartam. Have we ever done a Sankalpa? Paripurna Dukkha Prapti Siddhyartam. Oh Swamiji, we don't need to do a Sankalpa for that, we are already there. Effortlessly we are there. Aren't we? So nobody puts an effort to be dukhi. All the effort is universal to be sukhi, and that is sammitaha, the most acceptable truth. Whether you are an atheist, theist, whether you are a Hindu, Muslim, Christian, Jew, doesn't matter. And that is why Sanatana Dharma is universal in its approach. It transcends the barriers of all kinds. It transcends gender, it transcends caste, creed, nationality, because it focuses on this aspect of our very nature, which is acceptable across the borders. That is the only truth. Sammitaha. Samaha. Samaha, because it is this universal, it is the most balanced state of existence. The entire nature, how does it work? Wherever there is imbalance, it wants to get back to that balance. In our ashram back in Bombay, we had built a new Saraswati Nilayan, Pravachan hall, and Annakshetra for the students, the brahmacharis to eat. And in that new facility, there were these couple of sparrows families. they would live. And they would come around the wall, doors, around the photographs and other places. They would keep pricking, they could keep digging in to the wall. So much so that you could see that entire layer is gone. So one day, one of our senior acharyas, he came and said, okay, so these birds are going to hatch or lay eggs. They are in that mating season. And I was wondering, how do you know? He said, because they are eating up all the calcium on the wall. चूना जो होता है, they're eating up all the calcium that has been coated on the wall, which is required for their raw ingredient to house that, to create that egg shell. So they're eating up all that. So there is a lack. So the nature works in such a way that it finds the appropriate antidote to fulfill that, so that you feel that internal balance. And because it is such a valid, staring, naked truth, it is called samaha. Samaha, the most equipoised, balanced state to be in. And some people say that realization is a desire. And when the scriptures say that be desireless, isn't aiming for realization and mukti hypocritical? Now one side you say give up all the desires, another side you have they say you should have the intensity for mukti. Now as the intensity is growing, it is your desire which is growing. How can you have two contradicting things there? So the scriptures have said, Baba, don't worry, moksha is not a desire. Therefore in the four purusharthas, moksha is called the fourth one. Dharma, artha, kama. If moksha was a desire, they would have already put it under the sub-classification of desire. But they have separated it out. Why? Because the point is, I have a desire to procure and secure that which I don't have. That which I already have, that which I already possess, I don't have a desire for it. I have a watch. I don't have a desire for that watch. If I see something better than this, BBS. You know what BBS is? Beg, borrow, steal. So somebody said, Swamiji, you have to add one more B there. Okay, BBS. Beg, borrow, buy or steal. Fine. You have a desire for something which you don't have, don't possess. And moksha is what? You are not trying to procure something, it is already your nature. That which is already your nature, you are just cognizing it, you are just knowing it, you have just forgotten it. To remember something that which you already are, you are not creating, you are not generating. Hence, therefore, to recognize is not called a desire. And from that standpoint as well, samaha. Samaha, it is the most balanced state of being, not an agitated state of being. Sammitaha samaha. Amoghaha. Amoghaha, it will make more sense if we understand the meaning of what the opposite of it is. Moghaha. Moghaha, what does it mean? Vrthartha jivinaha. Roughly translated, useless bum. Phaltu. Bombay accent. Phaltu. A useless fellow. Vrthartha jivinaha nishphalaha. There is no benefit, there is no use. He is called Mogha. Very disappointing person. So what does Amogha mean? The most useful, the most promising, the most truthful. So when we turn ourselves towards God, towards that self, towards that core within, the blessings of that Lord are the most truthful. And He has already given that blank check to everybody. Even before we begin, He has already given it. Unlike our dealing, right? If you do this, then I'll give. He has already given it. What has He given as a promise? Sarva dharman parityajya. Mam ekam sharanam vraja. Aham tva sarva papebhyah mokshayishyami mashucha. Sarva dharman parityajya. What does he mean by that? One side he says, swadharme nidharam shreyah paradharmo bhayavaha. Follow your swadharma. Bhagavan must be really confused totally. Vedanta sometimes can do that to individuals. One side he says, follow your dharma. Other side he says, almost in the same 700 slokas, couple of times there is this contradiction wherein he says, give up all your dharma, sarva dharman parityajya. Reference to context, RTC. If you don't understand it with reference to context, it will lead to confusion. I was in a yagna in some place, this is back in India, and they had given, some devotee's house, they had given us adjacent room, which had a separate entrance and exit. And whatever was happening in that house, I could hear it. I could not see it outside. There's one wall, common wall. So, all that I could hear was this sentence in sequence. So, the first sentence was the little girl who just started learning to read. They have this habit, once they start getting to read, any label, anything that is moved, they start reading it loud. So she reads. At that time my name was different. So Brahmachari Uddhav Chaitanya. So the moment my name was uttered, I said, okay, what happened? Why is this girl taking my name? My ears all antennas were up. There was a pause. And then she says, Rakshas hai. I'm like, what happened to this girl? What wrong did I do to this girl? Why is she calling me a demon? An asura, a rakshasa. So I quickly closed the book that I was studying, got up, went inside, knocked. And I said, what did you say just now? They said, what? I said, nothing. So the mother also said, nothing. She said, nothing. I heard her, say this, say my name. Oh, that she was reading on my Yagna was there in that area. In the local channel, they were having that scroller running on the TV. So she read my name. And meanwhile, the mother must have asked or whispered, what movie is this or something? So there is a movie called Rakshas. For me, that particular sequence was not in place. The reference was not there. All that I could hear was Brahmachari Uddhav Chaitanya Rakshas hai. He is a demon. How did you know the reality? It has to have the reference to context. Similarly here, when Bhagavan says, follow your dharma, even if it is not glamorous, Shreyan Swadharmo Vigunaha. And on the other hand, he says, give up all your dharma. You have to refer to it. While doing your karma yoga, follow, understand your dharma and live up to it completely, though it may not be glamorous. On the other hand, as a final sadhana, he says, Sarva dharman, sarvan anyan dharman tyaja. We have assumed a lot of unnecessary dharma which is not ours. We have assumed the dharma of a body. Use the body, but don't assume it's dharma. Use the vehicle to travel, but don't become a car. Don't behave like a car. Don't live like a car. Don't get rid of that identification. Sarvan anyan dharman parityajya mam ekam atmanam, that core of being, sharanam vraja. Attain to that core of the being, firmly abide in it. Having reached there, sarva papa, all the papa and everything that we have done, the vasanas that we have gathered, are destroyed completely. However, overwhelming be our life, if we change from extrovert to introvert, the change is promised. And because he is that efficient power who gives this word of promise, he is called Amogha. Amogha, that who promises his word or lives by his word. Amogha. Pundarikakshaha. Pundarikakshaha, where do you find it? It's such a beautiful sequence if you understand the 108 names. 1000 names. They are all beautiful pointers, one after the other sequentially. So where do I find this Amoghatva? It says Pundarikaksha. Pundarikaksha, Hrit Pundarike Virajam Vishuddham. The center of our own being, which is called the spiritual heart. Hrit Pundarika, in the lotus of the spiritual heart. There is one heart with 4 walls which is constantly doing its pumping work. That is not the heart. Where is the heart? It is right where the rib cage parts. There is a little cavity. That is in chakra language, it is called the anahata. Even the Sufi language, they use it as anhat. So that anahata chakra is the spiritual heart. Where is that Paramatma? Right here in the Hrit Pundarika, in the cave of, in the heart, lotus of that heart. Right here. We don't need to search anywhere. Turn that mind towards within, that core, and right there is that Paramatma, the Lord of our own Ishta. Pundarikakshaha. How do you reach there? Vrishakarma. Follow that Paramatma as the very embodiment of Vrisha. Vrisha means dharma. Therefore, Lord Shiva also is called Vrishadhvaja. Vrishadhvaja, the one who has dharma as his flag. And dharma is represented by the Vrisha. In Bhagavad, there is dharma which has 4 legs and it takes the shape of a cow. In Kali Yuga, poor cow is limping on 1 leg. And what leg is that? It is the Satya. The other limbs are non-functional. The only limb of dharma that is functional, that even the crooked people understand, is Satya. Satya as its dharma. So Vrusha means dharma. Vrusha karma meaning doing the righteous deed. How do you reach to that Hrutpundarika? Doing the righteous deed through body, mind and intellect. When we perform the righteous deeds, righteous actions, and what should be the attitude of performing those righteous actions? With the attitude of Ishwararpana bhava, without the egocentric actions. When such actions performed righteously, they lead to that purification. Once the body, mind and intellect are purified and we detached through them, where do you find that Paramatma? Right here in this heart. Now one may ask, why should we even focus on turning our lives righteously? If he is anyway going to pardon us, he can pardon me with what I am doing right now. Why should I change my life? Because they said Bhagavan is himself Vrusha Akritihi. He is the embodiment of dharma. What does dharma mean? That which is the innate balance or nature of that vastu is called its dharma. What is the dharma of fire? To give heat and light. I am not talking from a different materialistic standpoint. Fire gives heat and light. Can there be a cold fire? If it is cold, then it is not fire. Oh, back in India, fire was really hot, In America, fire is not hot. Then you are confused. You may be looking at a 3D image of fire. The holographic image of fire and not real fire. If it is fire, it has to have heat and light. That is its dharma, that is its nature. Similarly, what is the nature of that Paramatma? Righteousness is its very nature. And once we transform our lifestyle to that integrity of righteousness, it shall purify the seeker, it shall purify the individual. If this advice is not taken seriously, then what happens? He comes into our life as Rudra. So what is that meaning of Rudra? That we will see next time we meet. We will continue with the 26th, not 26. We will continue with the 13th shloka next month when we meet. So far we have completed 113 pointers to the Lord. God willing, we will continue with further. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.